Hi, Lorraine. Hello
Hi.
again.
Cool. So just a quick one before I invite all your speakers onto the stage. What are your thoughts right now? How are you feeling with how we are doing on the first ever PATF North Africa training boot camp? So what are your thoughts? What are you thinking so far?
So I'm very, very happy. It's a very successful day. We had a very interesting presentations. We have very interesting initiatives, and
Yeah.
I think it's beginning. As I said in my presentation, really, we start with this bootcamp, but we will continue with a lot of actions with our young African people, and we will continue. Really, this is my word, is continuity. And really, thank you for all the team. Thank you for all the speakers because they were very, very interesting. And I hope that this new panel, last one but not least,
Yeah.
will be great as well. I'm very happy
Yeah.
to create it.
Definitely fantastic. So I have on Aboubacar, Anim, and now I'm inviting onto the stage Siham. And lastly, I am going to be bringing onto the stage Tamer Ahmed. So,
Exactly. Yes.
Tamer Ahmed, okay. I don't see. Oh, yes, there he is. Tamer Ahmed. So I'm going to invite him onto the stage now. And then, Wiam, you can quickly just introduce us to all of your speakers and then kick off with your panel. For anybody who does not know, this is the last panel and closing panel of the day, which is on big data. This is essentially on what is big data, rather, and how does it apply to our daily life. Welcome,
Exactly.
Siham. Welcome, Tamer, Aboubacar, and Anim. I'm going to leave you now, William, to introduce us to all of your guests, all of your panelists, and then you can kick off the conversation that you're having with them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to my speakers to be here. I'm very happy to see
Laisse-
this beautiful table.
Comment tu
Uh,
fais pour augmenter le son?
Siham, you have to put your mic on mute. Thank you. So very beautiful table because I have very great experts for big data, and I am sure that we will have a beautiful session and very interesting session. I'm waiting for people to have a lot of interaction, and I will start by a question for the audience, but as well for the speakers before starting. Question for speakers and for audience: can you share with us an application of your dream that would like to have thanks to big data and that help you in your daily life? I will let you think about that. You can answer on the chat, and I will start to speak quickly about our session. I will start in French. It's a freestyle. Sorry, Tamer. I know that you're Egyptian. I don't know what is your level in French, but it's very, very briefly. Les quelques dernières années, on a stocké un nombre immensurable de data. On veut savoir à travers ce panel qu'est-ce que la big data, en quoi est-ce qu'elle est utilisée, est-elle indispensable dans notre vie quotidienne, à quoi est-ce qu'elle sert, quelles sont les opportunités qu'elle peut ouvrir et qu'elle peut offrir aux startups et aux petits business, parce qu'on pense à la big data toujours pour les grandes entreprises, mais on veut aussi discuter de l'intérêt de la big data pour les entreprises de petite taille. Quel avenir prédire pour la big data? Et toutes ces questions, bon, on a tous nos panélistes qui vont répondre à ça. I will switch to English. The last few years, we have stored and collected an inconceivable volume of data around the world. We want to know through this panel, what is big data? Is this useful, or even we can say essential for daily life? What are they for? What are the resulting opportunities for large, but as well for the small businesses? Does big data constitute a risk? And what is the future for big data? So we have in this panel 4 speakers. I will start with the lady, of course. We want to see you, Siham, if it's possible. So we have Siham Elmejjad. She's from Morocco. She's co-founder of 2WLS. She's my partner, by the way, Bilendi Group. She is engineer, telecom engineer, and she has a master in entrepreneurship. And in associative field, she is president of one of the club of leader within APM, Association pour le Progrès des Managers, in Casablanca. She was an active member in CGEM. And as well, she participated to a very big project called Small Business Act. And she was in CGD, where she worked on the initiation to entrepreneur to young students. So welcome, Siham. And I will introduce as well Amin Ben Ayed, our young Tunisian big data specialist. He's living in Canada. He's Tunisian but living in Canada. He's co-founder and CEO of Data Performers in Montreal-based company specialized in applied artificial intelligence. He's graduated as a master in management science in 2013, I think, and previously obtained his bachelor in community management. Previous work experience in Asia, Africa includes different IT roles before founding Data Performers. Aboubacar Adamou Souleyman is Nigerian and he's living in Morocco. He's an engineer within 10 years of experience on digital business transformation and customer relationship management. He's data passionate. I know it because I know him very, very well. He's worked on more than 50 data mining analysis, established more than 100 business plans for loyalty and marketing action, and also he designed more than 25 loyalty programs and managed more than 150 marketing campaigns. Tamer is Egyptian. He's from us. That's why I'm very happy because I have a lot of nationalities. So when we can give a lot of examples from our countries. Tamer is creative technology strategist with a proven record of success in program management and innovation projects, from world-class organization to successful startup and enterprise. Visionary leader with advanced expertise in research and development, more than 20 years of global experience and unique insight into MENA markets, complemented by an engineering degree. Certified as a project management professional, PMP, and certified business professional in customer service. So welcome all. I will start, of course, with our lady. So Siham, can you say us, is big data is a new thing? Is it a revolution? What do you think?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the invitation. First, I apologize for my camera. I have some troubles with it, so I will not be able to turn it on. However, I hope it will be okay with just the sound. So thank you also for this great initiative, and really congratulations, because for me personally, it's gathering two of my passions. The first one is entrepreneurship. I have been for a long time, working on this field and this subject to try to develop it among young people, and also technology and data, which is also my second passion, let's say. Now, to answer to your question, I can say that data and the need of data has always existed. The main difference remains in two things. The first one is that today people are more willing and permissive to share their data, even with unknown, let's say, people. They are feeling as they are sharing with machines, like if they are just at home. And the second thing is that the tools that are existing now and that are used to collect and store this data, and the amount of data gathered in a small period of time, are really huge and very important. And to clarify my words, let's return back a little bit in time, like 70 years ago, when our parents were child or were born. Our grandparents used to have very few providers and merchants to deal with. And these merchants were located in the same neighborhood. There were no need to call or to travel or to make a lot of, let's say, efforts to buy things. It was simple. And the data about their behavior, our clients and citizens, was also very easy to collect and can even be stored in one's mind. I mean, people, the merchants and the person in front of us know us very well. Merchants used to know everything about their client, all the events that were happening. If there was a newborn, graduation, a new job, a new maybe home, marriage, etc. All these events were known, and they were mastering all the habits of their client and were able instinctively, they were using their big data in their minds to suggest the right offer and fulfill the client needs. We can call.
If I can just give an example, in Morocco we call that mul pisri, mul hanout. I don't know in Tunisia. Exactly. I mean, I know in Masr.
You're right. Yes, small shops today still have the same way of doing things, and let's call it the intuitive data usage. It's from the mind. It's not. There is no machines behind. So, but things got more and more complicated, and organizations became bigger, multinational, with different branches, etc. So, a new type of business also appeared, like e-commerce, and it grew very, very fast. And the data about people became at the same time available and difficult to gather, analyze, and understand and use. And it is at the same time a real problem, but great opportunity for this organization to become again as close to their client as the merchants like 100 or 70 years ago, or even the small shops now are close to their client, and to regain again the client relationship, the human, let's say, the quality of client relationship through this technology. So just the word in the few last year, as you said, Wiam, in the beginning of your introduction, have collected in the last years more data than ever. And if we can, we want really to measure it, we are speaking about hundreds of zettabytes. I mean, by 2024, we will reach the 100 zettabyte. Zettabyte for me, it's so much zeros that I can even conceive it. It's really, it makes us fool, you know, it's really inconceivable. So for me, this is how to say it. To return back to your question, it's not really new to use data. The new thing is that the data is so big and so huge, and we have now the right tools to use it. We need just to use it carefully and for the good, let's say, brillamment.
Merci Siham, thank you very much. I will come back to you very soon. Amin bin Ayed, can you give us a definition of big data? What is big data?
Thanks, Wiam. Just a quick correction about my background.
Big data with my bad English. I think that is big data, not big data.
Correct. Yeah, big data. Thank you. Just a small correction about my background. I'm actually my background is in computing management and not community management. So I come from an IT field. No worries. Again, thank you so much for the invite. It's really a pleasure for me to be with you guys today. Just quick thing about myself, I would say, is that my comments sometimes might not sound by the book. So I really, if sometimes you think this is not very school friendly, what I'm saying, it's totally fine, because we are really facing a different reality from what we are really being taught in schools. And for me, big data, I really consider this the literal meaning of the word, It's a massive and large amount of data that is being gathered by organizations. We see actually this a lot, unfortunately, and there are also reasons for this in large organizations rather than small companies. That said, it doesn't mean that small companies cannot bring an added value in the big data for the large organizations. I will come to this a little bit later. As Siham was saying, actually, a lot of things I agree with them, and I think ce qui a favorisé the emergence of the big data is the fact that today we have a lot of connected devices. Whether in the consumer field we speak about our computers, about our smartphones. In the industrial and business field, we speak about Internet of Things, so smart objects, smart sensors, and all of these, they collect a lot of data, in addition to the fact that in the most recent decades, there is less and less limitations in the hardware side. So now we are able to store a large amount of data. We are able to process a large amount of data, which was not possible during the 60s, 70s, and this is one of the reasons why, for example, artificial intelligence was not advanced by that time. And on the theory, there were a lot of research and development, but nothing could have been applied and tested in a real environments. So for me, again, like big data, whether it's data lakes, whether it's data warehouses, whether it's databases, we are speaking about large amount of data. As Siham also was saying, we are reaching a lot of zeros of data, and of course there is a big potential here to exploit. I will get back also to the potential in a few moments too. Does this answer your question, Wiam?
Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Tamer, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Yes. Tamer, I am insisting about this point about the small businesses. So can you give us how does big data affect startups and small businesses? How could startups use big data in their advantage?
Okay, so mainly there are two ways to do that, and it depends on the positioning of the startup itself. The first situation is when the startup is generating the data itself through another product or another service that they provide. In that case, it means they have full control over the data and they can use it to extract and get more comprehensive means of business that can improve the whole way of doing it. I have one example on one of the startups that I worked with in Egypt, and actually it is becoming global now. It is called BioBusiness. And what we do there is that they collect data from medical equipment. They have a device which is sitting as an IoT, as an Internet of Things, and we all know that this concept is becoming very familiar now. That means all of those sensors in devices all around the world, they collect enormous amount of data. So in that case of the inspector of BioBusiness, they collect data about devices like the MRI, the CT scan, and this data collected, the first reason or the main function of this device was to actually give alerts for the manufacturer or for the maintenance so that they can go and fix the device. But as a second outcome, we can say, or it was a byproduct, all of the data collected around the clock from all the devices around the world, because the device has been installed on more than 10,000 machinery all over the world. We became aware of that this can be used in another way to improve the devices themselves, to improve the manufacturing. And this kind of data was sold to the manufacturers themselves. So it helped the big manufacturer to improve their devices and make them more maintainable and reduce the cost of maintenance. So this is the first case. The second case is when the data is available, either it is in the public domain, so the big data can be a public domain big data, and we have a lot of archives and banks of data around the world who provide the data for free, or the data can be produced from another company or from the mother company itself, and the startup can be the analytics and the insider and the data science part toward this data. So they can take this data and improve it and extract again the meaning information out of it and turn it into a winning business. Another example, which is very similar to that I can think about, is a startup who started to look at the Google Maps. So, you know, the data from Google Maps are free and are available, mainly if you are not extracting a lot of it. So Google can provide it for you. So they used this data to from the traffic data to extract the best point to put billboards on the streets. So this is another way where you can get the big data and use it. You are not the producer of the data, but in that case, you are just a user of the data. So I believe startups has great opportunity because all of those are what we call niche markets or blue ocean. And in a blue ocean, that means you have a lot of fish and very few fishermen. So if this is the case, big data, I believe, is totally a blue ocean. A lot of people can extract a lot of information coming out of it. I see, because I personally mentor hundreds of startups in a month, actually, because this is like my main job right now. So I see a lot of startups coming with ideas about getting data into the market research, into doing customer surveys. All big companies and small companies and startups, they need this data. So no one is or no one can afford to not get market data and market research data, like habits of buying, habits of purchasing, what kind of items do people buy, when, where, by what means or what payment. So we are now seeing after COVID a booming in the e-commerce for sure, and that needs a lot of data. So it is a big opportunity if it is goodly used, I believe.
Okay, thank you very much, Tamer. Very interesting. You give us a very, very interesting examples, and I will ask Aboubacar if do you have other examples to share with us about big data used in our daily life, because this is our subject. And I will come back to you, Amin, to you are specialized in Canada, etc. Based on your experience, I will let you think about this question. Do you think that we can make data analysis or big data affordable for small businesses, for small nations, and how? Okay, so I will come back to you, Aboubacar.
Okay, thank you, Wiam. En fait, I will be so sorry with my English level, but I will try to try. And if there is some word that I don't have, I will try to say it in French. So I will be so sorry for Tamer
Of course,
that
you are
are English speaker. Okay. For the example, really in my job, in my life, and I think in all everyone's life, We have a lot of example of big data, of how we use it. And as Tamer said, I can say that there is three stakeholder of big data. There is the one who generated it. It's me, you, and because today we are using our phones, and we are generating a lot of big data with the WhatsApp and so on. I don't want to really talk about that, but the idea is to say that everyone generates data. That's why it's big data. There is some company that can process it, like the GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple's, and also the company like ours, 2WLS, we are managing program. I will talk about that after. And there is the who will use it, who will consume it. This is, I think, for all kind of company, because today, as we saw it in the before in the artificial intelligence, and even in the panel that there were before, data is now we cannot work without data. We need this big data. And if I can take an example for what a daily life, we can take an example of YouTube or of Netflix. When you start watching a movie, after that you will have some suggestion that of course you will have three or four that is for you. You know that you want to see that. So it's because there is a large amount of data that were analyzed by the system that will analyze not only your data, but the data of other people with the same behavior, with the same status. So the suggestion is perfect. And we cannot have this kind of suggestion just because we analyze some small data. We need to analyze a large amount of data. And what I want to say really, it's not really the amount of the data. It's what we will do with this data, because even if we have the what as Siham said, if we manage some zettabyte and all that things, if we don't use it to customers our life, to have the client habit, we cannot really say that we are using big data. We are just having big data, but we are not using it. And that's why big data is important. I can take an example of I work with a supermarket and other thing. It's we use big data to analyze people behavior, to know what time they will come to the shop, what time, so we know that we will make a great decision to say at the peak time we will have all stuff that will work, and at the time that we said at the time where there isn't enough people, we will have just 2 or 3 stuff. So it's help us to really improve the what we call the ROI. It's a return on investment. We don't need really to put enough money. We don't need really to have all stuff at all time. This is a kind of usage of big data. Also, we for the customer we need because the idea really today of this data, it's not to manipulate customer, but it's to give the customer a better customer experience. What I talk about a better customer experience, I can take an example is if we have a customer that bought from us a diaper, we know that if it's a diaper of a diaper of baby from 0 to 3 months, after 2 months or 3 months, after 2 months or 3 months, we can give him some advertising for diaper with 3 to 6 months. So we know his behavior, we know him, we will really have a targeted communication. So it will not be mass communication like what company did in the past. Now we cannot do like that, because if we do we do mass marketing campaign, we'll spend a lot of money, really a lot of money, and the return of on investment will be quite small, quite short, because we are not addressing our message to the right people. So that's for me, it's important, and I work on that. I live with that, and even as Tamer said, even for small companies, even for people, we need to use this data. We need to, sometimes we need to just buy the system, buy the service. It's like the GAFA gave us some APIs about the behavior on social media or something like that. Sometimes we need really to buy data. We need to buy the analysis that were already done. So there is a lot of way that we need to use the big data, but today it's not a choice. Really, for me, I cannot think about big data as a choice. We need to use it really like it is, and to if a company or people want to succeed, they need to use big data. Also, I can also talk about a new program that we launched. It's Two Keys. On Two Keys, the idea is really, if a partner has his own client, he can join the program, and in the program he can recruit a new clients. So it's like a program that you can share clients, so you can have a more active client. It's a big data system because you will have I'm a partner, I will come with my client, another will come with his client, and it's this kind of program can help the users and the customer to have a better, as I said, better customer experience. Because if you have a partner on food, a partner on fuel, so the client will not quit the program. He will be in the same program with all what he needs. So even as soon as he get up, he will start with the program, and he will continue his I can say his journey with this program without exiting of this leaving this program. So it's will help even the customer, because we have I will because I am on I am talking about loyalty, because I am always talking about loyalty program. So it's in loyalty program today, what we have as problem is the margin. Some partner hasn't enough margin, so they can give enough enough money to their client. But with this kind of program, a coalition program, they can, if one partner give to, at least 10%, the other will give 10 other percent, and the customer will see his life improving. So for me, big data today is essential. We cannot live without big data.
Okay, it's not a choice, not a choice. And thank you very much, Aboubacar, and I will come back to you. I mean, it's not a choice. So how can we make it affordable for companies, for small companies, small merchants, how they can use it?
Yes, actually, Wiam, I don't think the question is about making it affordable. So I will give a couple of examples here. Large companies usually have hard time to innovate internally. Like as a startup, when you have an expertise and you have talented data scientists, I mean, of course, it doesn't come from day one, but I will take the example of our path. So our first client in the artificial intelligence was a major financial institution here in Canada. And they had this innovation hub, so it's very important to identify these players who have a large amount of data, but they do not have the expertise to utilize the potential of this data. And we entered into this process and we started working with them, and we have learned a lot of things dealing with their data. Of course, we had to go through rigorous process, background checks. We deal with business clients' data, so of course it's anonymized data, but still important to have the right infrastructure for you to get access to them. And after that, we started. I would not use the word replicating, but basically the same expertise, we were taking it to other financial institutions. The same way we worked with other companies like Autodesk, like the World Anti-Doping Agency, etc. My point here is that today, as also Tamer was saying earlier, there is tons of data in the public area. You can also access data through APIs. You can also buy data, as Aboubacar was saying. But in my opinion, what really you can do with this data, this is really the main challenge, and this is really, you have to solve something, because you can have a mass of data, you are not using it. There is any advantage you're providing for your customers or for yourself to optimize your operations, etc. As for the storage, some startups can also generate data. I think these startups, most of the time, are funded startups, so they are backed by VCs or backed by business angels, so they can allow themselves to have a good infrastructure for storage. On our side, as we mainly provide services, so we didn't really need to have our own data. Although we were in situations, for example, one of the projects we worked on with Transport Canada, they gave us access. We are the only company in whole Canada to have had access to a special type of data. And today we are going after transportation, private transportation companies, thanks to this project too. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. We really need to develop the expertise of how to process this data in the industry too. Like, for example, on our side, most of my colleagues, they come from an engineering background rather than a computing science background. I will just open a small parenthesis here. These people that work with us, they are AI specialists, but before that, they were electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, etc. And what we are realizing today is that when we go to, for example, manufacturing companies, and we develop AI models using their big data, our expertise in the field makes a big difference compared to regular data scientists who comes from a computer science background. The reason I'm saying this is because when you have the expertise and you're able to implement it in your models, the accuracy and the fiabilité de tes modèles is better, because anyone actually can build models, shoot data on it, and hope that you will get results. But how much your models can really perform in different situations and in a very accurate way. And so that's my opinion. In my opinion, startups, of course, can hold the data. Today we have great cloud infrastructures, whether it's AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google, etc., and they are affordable to some extent. Yeah, if you want really to start, in my opinion, try to identify these champions, these large companies that already have the data, develop the expertise with them. Large companies cannot innovate as we think. They are they have heavy processes. They have very focused also teams, so they cannot think outside the box. Like, I remember in different projects, we were able to help them find hidden insights within their data, and these hidden insights, of course, they use it whether to upsell more services for their clients, whether to understand when to call their clients, at what time to sell them what, whether to know if a company, if a business client will leave the bank before 6 months ahead of time. Of course, all of this also comes from AI algorithms, and we are able to identify patterns within the data using the historical data, and think that a regular human cannot see. One last thing I would like to say also that I think is really a good opportunity in big data is people most of the time. I mean, today we are overwhelmed with a lot of data. This is completely true, and sometimes people can get really lost in this. But also, we do not want to let the data work in silos. Like there are a lot of connections between different components, and sometimes we can find correlations, or we can find relationship between different silos. And today, with the tools that and the libraries that are at our disposition, we can do this. So it's very, very passionate and interesting.
Yeah, brilliant, very interesting. Ahmed, thank you so much. I come back to you, Siham. I have two questions. The first one, can you give us with very basic way or very simple way a definition of big data? Because as I said at the beginning of this day, this bootcamp, we want to demystify this kind of technology or this kind of analysis. What is big data in very simply word or simply way, and what is the future of big data? What do you think? What is the future?
Okay, so to demystify, sorry again for my camera, I was not able to switch it on, but to demystify big data, I think the best way is to look at our classic day, how we are living with data and through data. And if you allow me, let's go through a classic day of a person in our era to see the amount of data that can be gathered and how it can be useful to this person. And let's name it for the example, ML, for example, or Wiam or whatever. So ML will wake up at 6:30 in the morning after setting up her alarm before sleeping. So already at 6:30, we know how many hours ML slept, and we can add it to her, for example, personal health file, for example. And when she wakes up, she will check, as we all do, she will check her messages, her social media. She will maybe make some comments, and she will express her mood and her opinion on some content. And then at that time, we even have the mood of Amel's day. Since the first minutes of her journey in the day. And then she will, while having maybe her coffee, she will check some news, she will look on some other content, and then, or maybe she will listen to music while she's dressing. And now we will be able to know what kind of music style she likes, and it will be recorded and added to her file. And then she will use tools to drive. So we all use Waze or Google Maps, etc., to find the best itinerary to get to our job or office. And then these tools will record our let's say, use nos itinéraires habituels. Donc, and during the morning, she may also order a breakfast through a specific app like Glovo or many other apps. And now we can have her kind of food she likes, and maybe also when she likes to order this food. And then during the same morning, she may make some research about the next travel she will make, and look for some destinations, etc. And maybe make some research about other topics. And now we have her centers of interest, where she likes to travel, the destination of her dreams, etc. So as we can see in really few, we didn't yet start the day, we have already tremendous data about ML and her behavior and what she likes, what she doesn't like, how she maybe, what kind of music she loves, etc. And imagine this data enriched day by day, and adding to the data of ML, the data of billions of people all around the world. This would lead us, as Amin said before, to create some patterns and personas and predictions for different kind of fields, for business, for health, for traffic, for fashion, for travel, for different industries. And this can really seem very scary, but at the same time, very useful. And this big data we are talking about.
My next question, because big data, is it something dangerous? There is some risk about that. We are speaking about that. There is some people afraid about big data, etc. So it will be my next question just after you finish, Siham, for all speakers.
Yes, just to finish and to give this a quick and simple definition of big data. Big data is fast, okay? It is big, and it comes from different forms. And this is the particularity that we have. It's coming from different sources, and it is not always structured. It has to be gathered and retreated, and it has different, it can be pictures, it can be text, it can be emotions, it can be different kind of sources and forms, and it has to be gathered and treated, and it's the main source actually of other technologies that Amin spoke about before, and also I think Aboubacar. It's the artificial intelligence, deep learning and machine learning. It is the fuel for this kind of technologies. And maybe very soon our persona ML, if she allows it, her digital tool would set the alarm for her, would suggest her the appropriate outfit according to weather and style, would turn on the right music according to her coming day, and her and also her mood of the day, and even maybe her physiological variables, and would maybe give her some healthy recommendation about the food she should have during that day. So our lives will change in the upcoming years for sure, and being frightened or not by technology and big data, it will impose itself in our environment, and we should accept it and manage it. And as you said, we need to study these risks and these issues, and to manage it, to rule it. It's like when with all the revolutions before, when the humans discovered the fire, it was scary. Some people were worshipping fire, but after it, they ruled their life around this, and how to say, they learned how to use it for the well-being of humanity. Of course, there are still crimes with fire, etc. But we need to rule these new technologies, of course, and our way to use it to protect ourselves. But we need to use it as well. We cannot say, no, it's dangerous, stop, we will not use it anymore. We have to really to work on it, so that we can use this great opportunity for our future and our children.
Yes, how as Hussein said in the chat, all innovations come with good and bad things. So Aboubacar, Tamer, and Amin, you will continue this question about risks, but at the same time, we have to manage that. We can't live without big data. So perhaps Tamer, you can start, and then we'll manage. It's freestyle, and I will let you discuss. We can't hear you. Yeah, it's okay. No.
Well, okay. Sorry. Yeah, for sure, there are risks, and we all know that providing a lot of information that can be used in many ways. I would say it's a double sword, like a lot of technologies that we have. It may be used for the good and it may be used for the bad. We had seen it sometimes used, for example, in changing political election, like what happened in the USA with the Trump election. You know that there was a big case of big data use to influence the decision of voters, and that's one way, of course, and it is a way of using data. So I believe that is why it is very important for legalization and for the civil society to take actions on that. I believe we need to put some legals and some rules for the use of the big data. Some countries had already limited the access to big data. Some countries even prohibited the use. I know, for example, in California, there is a law against the use of cameras, the public monitoring camera, in order to extract data and get some, for example, use it on marketing or in targeting of people. So, because the objective was mainly for those camera or security. So I believe that's why we, in our countries, in Africa in general, I didn't see a lot of laws yet in place in or enforcement. Some countries are ahead. They are doing some research and already trying to legalize the use of big data. So I would say it will be similar to the laws of privacy and use of data in different locations. It has to be within regulations and rules that the whole society agree on, not by enforcement, but just by agreement from the society, so that this is how we are going to use the data. If we reach to this level, then I believe we can improve a lot and reduce the risk of using big data.
Thank you, Tamer. Aboubacar or Amin, who wants to give his thoughts about that?
Aboubacar, you want to go?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I think one actually of the, I would say, alarming risks that we are seeing is the data security within the organizations. So my opinion is that the organizations are not matching the increase of the amount of data with their security process internally. This is why even in Canada here, we are seeing sometimes really how to say, like very dumb situations. So you can have your USB key, enter into this organization, get a lot of data, and the system didn't notice this. So we have a couple of scandals like this going on for the past few years. So I think this is it's very important that, of course, data is stored safely and have the right measures to keep it secure. Another thing, also, as Tamer was saying about the regulation, and I actually do agree on the regulation side, but I'm also a little bit skeptical about it, coming from also innovation. Field. Like, for example, probably you guys know about the GDPR law in Europe that actually gives the consumer and protects the consumer, gives it the right to own his data. So some studies actually have showed that it also it can break the innovation a little bit, because we don't have the right, like, let's say these e-commerce companies cannot have the right to work with third parties like us to try to find innovative solutions for their customers. I mean, it's very, very, very regulated, and sometimes third parties like us, we do not have enough money or enough means to adjust and to adapt to these very high standards. Here in Canada, also, we are going toward that direction. Like, personally, we never dealt with personal data of, like, consumers, but I can see that it's going to be really a major challenge. And I'm not saying. I mean, there are obviously current security infrastructure that still can be used to perform and to provide this type of services. But yeah, this is the other side of the regulation too, that I think we have to find the right balance in order also to whether to keep the consumers protected, but also to keep the innovation going on.
Thank you, Amin. Before your intervention, Aboubacar, I just want to read what Hussein Hashish wrote concerning blockchain. So he wrote that yes, there is regulation, but what's happening with blockchain is enabling decentralized identification. The power goes back to the people with controlling their data, not to mention having this sensitive data scattered around a network. Blockchain solves this issue in his opinion, so I think that it's right. So Aboubacar, you can go.
Okay. For me, I think this question I will divide it in two parts. The first part it will be really what the other panelists discuss. It's the privacy and the regulation. And I think even if, as Hussein said, even if we have we can trust, but there is another thing. It's really because big data is based on data. Data is an information, and information as it goes, it has two characteristics. It's the integrity, the confidentiality, and the disponibility. We know that at the beginning of big data, we are talking about the volume, the variety, the velocity, and after that, they put the value and the veracity. The veracity comes to talk about the integrity, and the volume, variety, and velocity are talking about the disponibility. But we are not really, even now we are not talking about the confidentiality of this the big data. Even if we have blockchain, we need to update these rules. That's why I think it's good to have the GDPR. Here in Morocco we have the law 0908. It's about CNDP. It's for customer protection. It's something that we need to have. As Amin said, we have problem between, we have to do the balance between the privacy and innovation. This, I think, with the GDPR, the GDPR and other regulation will continue to improve that, to have the right the right balance between these two. The other thing that I want to talk about, the risk of big data, is the even if the word in big data there is the word big, it's not something that we need to worry about it. And that's why I think maybe we need to start explaining it to people that it's not something that is really, even if there is the word big, but it's not a big thing. It's yes, it's a revolution. It's not really a new thing. It's just we are changing our way of life. But it's I think if I can try maybe to explain it to people that are here, it can be cool because they can explain it to other with a way that is simple for me, because it's also based on the technology what we are talking about, the technology of Amazon, the technology of Google, and other big company. Now we are talking about big data as a system that we are talking about big data as a system that is not the traditional system, but it's a new system. It's not really new, but it's just a new way to think about it. If I can give example of the technology of big data, I can just take an example. We can say that there is an event, and my mother asked me to cook rice for I don't know 500 peoples. So it's a lot. It's we can say it's like big data. Instead of spending a lot of time to cook it myself only, I will say, and also maybe I don't have a space to store all the rice. What I will do is to ask my brother and friend. I can divide it on four friend. I and give them each part and tell them, please cook it for it's for my mother. She wants to cook this rice for this event, so they will do it, and I will pick it after. So it's the idea is that it's instead of storing a huge amount of data in one place, we dedicated some. We said in the technical jargon, we said slave, but in this case, I will say just dedicated to friends. To they will do the work, and I will just pick the work and check it if it's good, and I will give it to my mother. It's like we are doing all in the company. If you receive some task, you know that there is someone is in the marketing, he will process this task. Someone is in the data, he will process it that like that. Someone in the program management, he will process. So you will divide the work and small tasks, so it can be done faster, and it can be really done smoothly. So you can just after that consolidate the work and give it to the client. So for me, we need to think about the big data as that, and because this is the risk. For me, this is the risk to say that big data is a big thing. We cannot understand it. We cannot use it, and we will not use it, but other people, other countries continue to use it, and we will say it all the time that Africa, we need to improve, we need to do something like that. So for me, these are two risks. It's the what we talk about, the privacy, and this we can say it's not really illiterate, but it's like that. I think we need to think it. It's like before the year 20, the year 20s. I think we people doesn't know about before the year 20. I think even before 2010s, a lot of people doesn't use computer. Now it's something that everybody should use it. In the really COVID, as we discussed in the precedent panel, COVID help us to use all this system, and we need to continue.
Thank you so much, Aboubacar. Unfortunately, I have to close the session. It was very interesting, and I have a lot of questions, but quickly, I will just share with you what are the app that our audience shared with us. There is an app for transportation, another for choose outfit according to the style, another one, and very, very interesting, measure human mood. like weather, like measuring weather. So measure human mood. I don't know how we can do that. Medical fields, and we have someone who told us he wants his pizza very, very hot and very, very quickly. So thank you so much. It was very, very interesting. I will let you give us very small words for to close the session. And thank you so much. It was very, very interesting. Brilliant. Siham, can you start?
Yes, of course. Thank you for this session. It was really interesting and rich. And I will, because I didn't I didn't express myself par rapport au risque de la big data very, very quickly. GDPR, of course, is not a solution as it is only European, and GAFAs who own the main data are not really concerned by this regulation. So what is important is that people need to really be aware of the different risks. They need to keep their privacy for the privacy of their data and to give it only when it is necessary for the right applications, and not only I want to see a film and I will give all my life to the website, for example, that is offering streaming. So it's, for me, it's more a question of awareness than a question of the rule will come very, naturally. The rules and the regulation will come very naturally once people will be really aware of what they should give and why they are giving it. But the future is to come, and I know that it will be very interesting the next years in our lives.
Thank you. Amin.
So on my side, it was a pleasure again to be part of this session. Please feel free, if you have any questions, to connect with me through LinkedIn. I'll be glad to answer them. And I just want to say that big data, machine learning is really the future. Develop your skills in data science, develop your skills in machine learning, and you will have open doors for you everywhere in the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Amin. Thank you so much. Tamer. Tamer, are you with us? So Aboubacar.
Okay. For me to insist on it's not the amount of data that we use, but it's what we do with it's very important. It's really very important. And as I said, we are in the world that is data driven. So the big data will help us for forecasting, for any data analysis, and to provide this new field that are AE, artificial intelligence. And for me, it's that it's really to know that it's a world of data driving, and we need to give a better experience to our customers.
Thank you so much, Aboubacar. Thank you all. It was really great, and really, I have a lot of questions, but I don't have time, unfortunately. But I'm sure that we will have a lot of other conferences and sessions. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So I'm waiting for Lorraine on the stage. Hi, Lorraine.
Hi, Wiam. And hello, everybody else. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to take you off the stage now and just call up onto the stage Elaine Bannerman as we wrap up the day.
Okay.
Cool. I think I speak for everybody when I say that you have really helped demystify big data in terms of what it is, because usually we're just wondering, what is big data? It sounds just like a very complicated term that is out there. So I think together with the speakers, you've really helped us to get a bit more understanding on what big data is. So I'm inviting onto the stage now Elaine Bannerman, who will just be giving a wrap up for 2 minutes just to say thank you, after which Wiam will also just then close it off in French, and then we are going to call it a day. For everybody here, we're going to have the lounge available for the next 30 minutes in case you would like to go there and connect with anybody. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Wiam. I'm sure you can all see the big smile on my face. I just want to say thank you, a big thank you to everybody. I mean, the session has been brilliant. You have made us proud, those of us from Pan-African Tech Foundation. The more we listen to you, and the audience as well, the more we listen to the speakers, the more we listen to these amazing experts in blockchain, AI, big data, entrepreneurship, the more we realize and the more it entrenches and emphasizes the fact that Pan-African Tech Foundation is an organization which is needed in Africa in this day and age. You know, as I always say, this is by Africans for Africa. So as you can see from the speakers, we're all Africans. And as you can see, the passion for Africa is with all of us. And I love the unity that has been displayed here. I love when Wafa used Ubuntu, you know, the strength we have in togetherness. And we do. And I think this has been greatly displayed here. I love the session on blockchain. Thank you, Hussein. It was amazing. It was easy to understand. It was straightforward. And thank you for the use cases as well. And I also very much love the session on AI. Thank you, Kuala. That was great. I think we will talk again about how best we can bring all this education into deeper levels. We can take this education into deeper levels because I think there's a lot more that we can do. And speaking with Wiam and Zakaria in North Africa, there's so much more that we can do. I know Wiam is going to be working with us to ensure that various projects, be they education projects or other projects like Wiam's amazing project to Keys, and other projects that I know we're going to be talking about also with Bot Factory and also Hussein's training. Thank you so much. I'm here, I'm doing this final remarks because my whole focus is to come and say thank you to you. You know, I mean, you make me proud. And I'm so glad that we set out on this mission because it's a mission that is required. The more we walk along this road, the more we realize that we're doing the right thing. When Zakaria was talking about entrepreneurship, I thought of the number of companies that I have set up. And if William, who is one of PATF's leadership, is here now, he will tell you he doesn't know how many email addresses I have. You know, he's always asking me which email address, each email address is for another company. Or he will ask me, which new company are you setting up? You know, it's been like that. It's the life of an entrepreneur. Where I am now, what's interesting is I am not setting up a for-profit company. Although who knows? I believe there's a for-profit company going to come out of this, particularly related to funding for startups. So if we're going to start to look at how we're going to get venture capital funding for various African startups, then we have to look at how we're going to set up an investment vehicle somewhere, maybe in Mauritius, somewhere in Dubai or somewhere, so we can actually attract funding to invest in our startups. You know, if we don't have pride in our own startups in Africa, who are we waiting for? You know, and don't forget